So MrBeast has surpassed PewDiePie, making him the #1 individual creator on YouTube. Now, obviously, there are multinational corporations, specifically ones in India, that have been artificially boosted by YouTube in order to win favor in that country, but overall, MrBeast is the #1 individual on the platform, and just like PewDiePie before him, it seems like MrBeast is one of these guys with impeccable character. He's somebody who does a lot of charity-based content where he gives away insane amounts of prizes, helps people, and raises awareness for a bunch of good causes. And recently, he did a video that should have stirred up absolutely no controversy, where he decided to donate cataract surgery to 1,000 people across the world. However, unfortunately, we have a nasty, vicious left wing in this country, so people decided to attack MrBeast for restoring people's eyesight, and we're going to explain why. But before we get into this, we have a sponsor for today's video, so let me toss it over to the sponsor, and then we'll bring it back over here and discuss it on the other side. Are you struggling with your holiday weight? Well, guess what? You're not alone. Over 52% of Americans have weight loss as a goal for their New Year's resolution, so you're in a boat with over half the adults in this country. And one of the best ways to fight off holiday weight is this amazing powder over at ketowithjustice.com. This helps elevate ketones, suppress appetite and cravings so that you can meet your weight loss goals. And in honor of the fact that we're all trying to lose that holiday weight, you can get this for 51% off this month as our holiday weight discount. That's ketowithjustice.com, 60-day money-back guarantee, ketowithjustice.com. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I am not somebody who watches MrBeast content. Now, that's fine. That doesn't really mean anything. MrBeast currently gets about 1% of the world's population to watch each and every one of his videos, so he doesn't need my petty views. So when controversy was stirred up related to his channel, I thought he might have said and or done something that would have been worthy of controversy, at least in the slightest. However, that is not the case. The video we're going to talk about today from him is essentially a PSA for cataracts. It's essentially the most wholesome PSA I've ever seen, and it's kind of amazing that on YouTube, when everybody's going back and forth, the #1 individual on the platform is elevating the platform with kind content that doesn't really or shouldn't really offend anyone. So he does this video, and to give you a little taste of it, it starts off, like I said, as a PSA, where he's talking about what cataracts does to people without necessarily going into it in specific detail, how quick the procedure is, and why he wants to do this for 1,000 people. Again, the idea that this guy's content is the #1 content on YouTube actually warms my heart, because this seems like a very special episode in a cartoon show in its setup, but it's getting a lot of positive attention, a ton of support, and honestly, it's a great cause to raise awareness for, because I knew about cataracts due to the fact that this was a component in the North Korea documentary from Vice way back when Dennis Rodman went over there, but the majority of people don't know that, and this will obviously raise awareness and solicit donations to people so that they can get these procedures for free.
Most of us see the world like this, but here's the thing, 200 million people see the world like this, but I just made it one less.
Oh. Wow.
She's just one of 1,000 blind people we helped from around the world.
They can't see, but we have all the technology to fix it.
Yep, half of all the blindness in the world is people who need a 10-minute surgery.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But it goes even further than that, because not only does MrBeast provide these procedures for people, but he also personalizes the charity to each and every individual. Now, cynical people will say that he's doing this for profit. We'll address that later, but it doesn't matter. And you end up with really nice scenes as a result of it, like him getting this guy cataract surgery who just wanted to be able to drive a car, and then him gifting him a brand new Tesla and taking him on his first test drive.
Now I don't even see any blur. It's kind of great.
How are you feeling? How's life been now?
It's been good, you know? I be like looking at the cars and I'm like, wow, I didn't see that car all the way over there.
That's good, if you're gonna drive it.
Yeah.
I have a surprise for you. Do you mind putting on this blindfold?
Hold on.
I know it's a little ironic that we just did the surgery. Satchel, take off your blindfold.
What?
This is your brand new Tesla. If Chris wrecks it, I'll buy another one.
Literally, I cannot put into words how I feel right now.
Have you ever driven a car before?
No.
I love how we're letting a guy who couldn't see a couple weeks ago drive us.
Yeah.
Wait, there's one cone you should hit.
Again, you ask yourself, who could be against this? And for those of you who are like, well, this is very American-centered, why is he helping so many Americans in a wealthy country? Well, to answer that question, you fool, you person I made up just so I could knock him down, he actually took this around the world to places where they don't even have this procedure available in order to cure people.
So not only are we helping people here in America, but we're also going to other places around the world.
Because unfortunately, nearly half the population with curable blindness doesn't have access to this surgery. So I wanted to provide this to as many people as possible.
So there is an international component of it. He rose awareness for that. He also suggested a charity that not only does this in the United States, but does this internationally. So again, we have some good, kind-hearted fun where he not only helped a bunch of people, 1,000 according to his video, but he also gave people money on top of that, just showing the generosity of the top guy at YouTube, and this is great. Everybody should be on board with it. So obviously our left wing absolutely hated it. Now, among the dumb people who took this opportunity to draw attention away from the cause, away from the people helped, and to themselves is somebody that we've covered on this channel multiple different times, and that of course is Lance from the Surf Times. Now recently we did a video absolutely obliterating every single claim that Lance made related to crime in a YouTube short. It was 60 seconds that I just massacred over the course of about 15 minutes. Link in the description and in the iCard if you want to check that out. And his take in this moment was just as stupid and just as ridiculous. Now, Lance deleted this tweet like a coward after MrBeast replied to him, by the way, just so you know. So he not only has terrible takes, but he's too weak-willed to stand by them. Quote, from the Serfs Twitter, people honestly praising MrBeast yet again? The guy does poverty tourism for cash. If he pays a person's medical bills, lottery style in parentheses, without informing anyone with his platform, that's just effed up. He needs to do that. He's just profiting off of his ability to do so. Then he links out to a video where he spends 50 hours in solitary confinement, which, by the way, has over 238 million views, according to this screenshot that I have. So the Serfs is like, listen, he does poverty tourism, he's essentially mocking the poor, and this is a sentiment that was expressed by many people on the left wing, including a Twitter user that I don't remember the name, referring to this as a demonic kind of experiment. Now, MrBeast actually did respond specifically to Lance, which is unfortunate because Lance is one of the most attention-seeking, disingenuous weasels on the internet with the following. I did raise awareness and get tons of people talking. Also, what profits? The average MrBeast video lost $1.5 million last year, LOL. To which the Serfs responded, you're completely right that it has gotten people talking. I will take the L on that and delete the tweet. But come on, Jimmy, are you serious? You have multiple channels, a clothing line, an international fast food chain that's in my city. You're not in the business of losing money. So he deletes the original tweet, tries to back off, but then doubles down and says, you're making money, MrBeast. How absolutely dare you? You're such a scumbag. You're such a bad person because you're making profit, and profit is evil. Even though what they're arguing is that MrBeast found a way to profit off of helping people. He essentially created a charity machine that doesn't even directly profit off of the people that are helped. It profits off of the viewership that solicits more donations and again leads to more of these causes getting money, awareness, and all of that in one of the most wholesome ways possible. And that's fundamentally what these people are actually angry at, because they have this idea that profit is inherently evil, when in reality, the opposite is actually closer to the truth. Because in order to profit in a market economy, what you have to do is provide a good or service that people actually want at a price that they're willing to pay, and thus both parties are better for the transaction. This is why capitalism, by far and away, is more effective at lifting people out of poverty than charity or government expenditure or any other system in society. Now, some more sophisticated, weaselly left-wingers will pivot from Lance's idiotic point that MrBeast bad, making money bad, demonic bad, which by the way was said by the other person, not necessarily the Serfs, the demonic part, to, oh, well, the government should do this. The government should have government-run healthcare, and that should solve these problems. Why isn't the government doing this? Which is hilarious because MrBeast not only agrees with this, but he makes the argument that people would be way more productive as taxpayers if the government provided cataract surgery, which we'll talk about the cost of it a little bit later in this video. So they're arguing that he's a bad person for doing something that the government isn't doing because they think that lessens the chance the government will do it, even though they're acknowledging that the governments aren't doing it. So MrBeast is still bad for some reason, and people can't explain why, and this point is ridiculous and stupid, and MrBeast fundamentally agrees that the government should do something in this regard because it's a simple, quick procedure that does not cost that much money comparatively. And this, of course, brings us to Cenk's nephew, who, if you ever looking for a bad take, he's always going to deliver, and his reaction with some random girl next to him to this MrBeast video.
You watch the video, you go, oh, how cute and how nice. I watched the video and I'm filled with rage.
What's wrong with you?
That we shut off access to a 10-minute procedure because we paywalled it and decided that like some people just simply can't get it.
You know what's great about sharing stupid takes from Lance of the Serfs, who actually works at TYT now, and Cenk's nephew? Is that the Young Turks actually did a video on this. And Cenk Uygur, who's Cenk's nephew's uncle, his take is so much more sensible than that which was brought to us by his nephew and by his employee, the Serfs.
Number one, envy's a hell of a drug. So get off the crack of envy. And it's, here, I got 2 words you should say to MrBeast. Thank you. 1,000 people can see now because of what he did. They couldn't see before. There's a kid who never saw, and now he sees the world. Are you insane to criticize that? There's people who are now lost their sight, couldn't work anymore, impoverished, now can go back to work. I can go on and on because there's 1,000 of those stories. They couldn't see it, now they can. And you want to criticize that? Oh, it's something about material world and I've got verbal diarrhea here and I think I'm so smart I'm gonna use all these words to make an incredibly kind gesture look evil? No, you're a loser, okay? And so go cry about that.
100% dead on accurate. Cenk could not have said it better myself. All this is people who didn't do anything virtue signaling, and it's so funny to see Cenk calling out his nephew and his employee Lance from the Serfs, one of the most disingenuous weaselly hacks on the internet. Now, of course, Cenk's nephew is mad, and he says he's mad for the same exact reason, that the government should be doing this, and how dare we put this behind a paywall because everybody should be entitled to this procedure. And at this point in time, I think it's actually quite important that we talk about the cost of a cataract procedure. And I'm going to talk about the costs in terms of no Medicare, no Medicaid, because that significantly mitigates the costs, and no insurance. And it turns out if you wanted to do this out of pocket in the most expensive place in the United States of America, if you didn't shop around, it would cost about $6,000. Now look, $6,000 is a lot of money for the average American. Coming up with that on the spot, obviously something that's going to take a bit of struggling. But the thing is that cataracts is essentially the clouding of your lens, and that's something that happens over time. On top of that, you have to think about what you're getting in exchange from this procedure. It is much more valuable to you to be able to see than to have that $6,000. So actually you can think of it, especially if it helps you get back to work, as an investment in yourself. And comparatively to other medical procedures, either covered by the government or insurance or not, it's actually not that expensive. Typically what we find with anything related to eyes, eye doctors and all of that, is it tends to be the cheaper care in the United States healthcare system, and thus it tends to be more bang for your buck. So again, while $6,000 initially sounds like it's this huge price tag, you have to remember it's a 10-minute procedure and you're in and out pretty much the same day or the next day, and then you're able to see. So this is very valuable, it's very cost effective, and it's affordable. And even if you don't have the money on hand, the idea that you couldn't get this on a credit card or shop around for a cheaper version of the procedure, by the way, because again, this is the high-end price, or get a personal loan in order to do this, at least in the United States of America, is a bit ridiculous. It is a bit absurd, and it honestly makes me reflect a little bit differently on some of the cases that were presented in the MrBeast video, like this one in particular, where the guy wasn't able to work anymore.
Charlie sees everything like this, and it's made him and his family's life extremely difficult.
I was a cashier, my eyes was getting so bad I couldn't see how much the money to give back. I just want to get my vision back so I can go back to work.
Because this guy shows up with his family, and he actually explains how he ended up losing his job as a clerk at a grocery store. He was working the cashier because he couldn't see the bills. And to me, if a member of my family needed this procedure and I didn't have the money and I had to charge it on a credit card or borrow it, I would consider that an investment in that member of the family that they would be able to pay off, presuming they would be able to get back to work after they did that. So honestly, it makes me feel a little bit sketchy about some of these stories in particular, because it's not that unaffordable of a procedure. And if people are really in dire straits, then Medicaid significantly mitigates the cost of the procedure. But let's set all of those interesting points aside for a moment and take Cenk's nephew at his premise that a bunch of people just outright can't afford it. There's no way they could borrow money for it. There's no way they could use a credit card. There's no way they could do a payment plan. There's no possible way for an American person to afford $6,000, even if they try to pay it off over 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and all the different ways that Americans spend way more than $6,000 on things over time. Let's just agree to that premise. Cenk's nephew wants people to be taxed, wealthy people, in order to pay for these procedures. Now, if you'll remember, there was actually a leak of how much money people made from Twitch recently in the news, and Cenk's nephew was right up among the top leaders in Twitch revenue. And it turns out that Cenk's nephew pulls in about 200 grand in terms of Twitch revenue. $200,000 a month, not a year, a month. So he is among the rich that theoretically should be taxed and should be spending their money on this. And his criticism is of MrBeast doing this as a charity thing because this should be paid for by the rich, yet he isn't doing so. And I worked out some math so you guys can understand it, so it can be simple based on that high value number of $6,000. If Cenk's nephew wanted to actually put his money where his mouth is and actually help people rather than yelling about communism on the internet for hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, one of the things that he could do is pay for 200 people to get the cataract surgery at that $6,000 number. Again, not shopping around at all. We'll pretend he's too stupid to do so. And he would still have 80 grand per month to take home, $80,000. Yet there's no criticism for the left on how Cenk's nephew spends his money on himself and on his family, not helping anybody through charity, because in reality, the left doesn't want charity. They want control over the economy. And a rich person doing great things with their money actually goes against their core interests because they want to paint all rich people as evil and bad and those who need to be overthrown, and they also don't care about hypocrisy. I mean, Sargon of Akkad actually made fun of Cenk's nephew in this tweet, talking about how Cenk's nephew was dangerously close to figuring out that he could spend his millions on helping people himself, and somebody replied, as often happens to whenever you're talking about Cenk's nephew, with an article related to his $2.7 million home, and without fail, anytime this is posted, one of Cenk's nephew's simps ends up coming in the replies and making it seem like Cenk's nephew was forced to buy that home. Quite literally, this person saying, but that's how much homes cost in Los Angeles, not realizing that Cenk's nephew actually doesn't need to live in Los Angeles. He can work from anywhere with an internet connection and donate the excess to other people. On top of that, Cenk's nephew bought a home in West Hollywood. You can buy homes in West Hollywood for not $2.7 million. And of course, we have these photos of this glamorous pool and all the luxuries and amenities that are there. On top of that, as I pointed out, this guy also spent over $200,000 on a Porsche. Now, I don't begrudge anyone for spending their money on themselves. It's just hilarious that these people are pretending that Cenk's nephew is a victim of circumstance, when in reality, he's somebody who is selling communism, not living up to communist ideals. But the thing is, that doesn't actually matter to the left. They don't care about hypocrisy. Remember, these are the same people who excuse the massacres, the genocides of Joseph Stalin, of Mao Zedong, because in reality, it doesn't matter what you do to these people. All that matters is that you talk about working class people and good messaging. They don't care about your actions. They don't mind hypocrisy. They love praising these dictators, no matter how brutal and hypocritical that they are, because they promote the right message. Remember when Fidel Castro died and people discovered that he had about $1 billion in assets upon his death? Nobody on the left wing criticized Fidel Castro for that, because Fidel Castro was this guy who talked about the revolution and the constant revolution and was a bulwark in their mind against the United States of America. That's what they want. The hypocrisy is not a bug amongst the left wing. It's actually a feature. The reason they promote these left wing ideals is because it's a shield against their innate selfishness and the fact that these are not very decent people. And Cenk's nephew is far from the only person who preaches environmentalism and, oh, the poorz and all that, and obscene wealth, and makes videos about people who have luxury houses and gets mad at them, or luxury cars, only to buy them himself. Second Thought has a whole other channel where he drives luxury cars and he brags about how expensive they are.
As of right now, you can catch our new car show, Grand Test Auto, right here on YouTube. We review everything from muscle cars to electrics to autocycles, supercars, and of course, the Toyota Corolla. Grand Test Auto will always be free and supported by sponsors here on YouTube. But if you'd like to watch the show ad-free and see new episodes months before everybody else, you can sign up for an account on Nebula.
Luxury gas-guzzling vehicles, because a bunch of these cars have high-octane engines, while they tell you about environmentalism. Remember, all the people who fly to all of these environmental conferences do so alone on private jets. It's better to think of these ideologies as a religion, not actually a standard that they want to live up to. And the way that they pay, the way that they get indulgences for their sins is by telling you about the great communist revolution and how they're right there with you. That's what these people are in for. So don't expect them to live up to their principles, because in reality, they don't have any principles other than they should be in control. That's what makes them dangerous, and that's why socialist governments often kill so many of their own citizens. So yeah, MrBeast, he can talk about how people on Twitter say rich people should do stuff for the poor, and then he does it, and then people on Twitter attack him. But that's because fundamentally, MrBeast is missing the point. The socialist left does not care about helping the poor. They don't even like the poor. Most of these people wouldn't let a poor person anywhere near their family or their house or anything like that. They just hate the rich, and they have a desire for control.
You watch the video, you go, oh, how cute and how nice. I watch the video and I'm filled with rage.
You want to criticize that? Oh, it's something about material world, and I've got verbal diarrhea here, and I think I'm so smart, I'm gonna use all these words to make an incredibly kind gesture look evil? No, you're a loser, okay? And so go cry about that.
I watched the video and I'm filled with rage.
You're a loser, okay? And so go cry about that.
So if you find yourself confused on why there's so much controversy about MrBeast helping 1,000 people, raising awareness related to cataracts, that's it. That cuts to the heart of it, and I hope you get it going forward. But hey, those are just my thoughts. They happen to be 100% right, but if you're wrong and you disagree, feel free to leave your wrong opinion down in the comments below. If you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on all my social medias, support me via the support links in the description box of this video. This has been me talking about the controversy related to MrBeast helping people. Till next time.